Jesus said, your problem is a heart problem.
This one for anybody on the scope. This one for anybody losing hope. Pray for your enemies, keep them close. Pray for your enemies, keep them close. God finna prepare the table. God finna prepare the table.
God, I just pray over tonight's pod. I pray that you bless anyone who listens tonight. I pray that you use me as a vessel. You flow through me, Lord. I just pray that this is your podcast, not mine. I pray that this is your word, not mine. I just pray that for every person who's listening, they feel loved, they feel heard, they feel seen, they feel comforted. I just pray that this podcast is a platform that just glorifies and honors you. And I just pray all of that in your name. Amen. What's going on, you guys? Welcome to Keeping Up with Cash. It's your host, Cash Money Morgan. Hey guys, did you miss me? Because I missed you. Seriously though, that is actually 100% how I feel because it has been a month. And we're back. We are back, baby. We are back. So many updates. One, I have a coffee table. I've been wanting this coffee table forever. Shout out to God as well. Like I literally negotiated and got it on Facebook for a great deal. But literally... somebody in my YouTube comments was so mean. I don't know about y'all, but YouTube comments are like way meaner to me than TikTok. This creature that the Lord created was like, honestly, you should get a coffee table because of how uncomfortable you look when you're recording this. I actually thought it was really funny. And then I got a coffee table. So sometimes, I don't want to say like bullying works on me sometimes, but low key, sometimes it be getting the job done. Low key. Anyways, I do love her. This is an amazing coffee table. I still have my Christmas tree up because we listen and we do not judge. Yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy time. I have my notes here. I have my devotional notes. I have my Bible. We have a lot going on and I'm really excited to be here. Before we get started, just want to let you all know that, again, the podcast party is February 21st at the Riff, 7 p.m., free entry, and the theme is streetwear glam, which is really just like streetwear, whatever your best fit, whatever their vibe is. Cannot wait to see you there, and you are invited. I hope you can bring friends. We're going to have a live show. We're going to have worship. We're going to have an amazing Love brand vendor. And I can't wait to see you all there. Seriously, I'm so excited for what God's going to do. And we're going to get into that a little bit and everything changing. But God has done so many things recently. And kind of back to what I was saying is it's been a long time. And this is going to sound crazy. I don't want this to sound, I don't know, conceited in any way. I fear it may. But I literally miss talking in a microphone. Like I just miss kind of having my time of getting to yap and chat about what God's been doing and everything. Make sure I get my notes out over here. I don't know. I think like with the podcast, you kind of have like your community and just with everything going on and balancing life and balancing mental health and spiritual health and family and business, clients. It was just a lot. And I wanted to make sure I felt the emotions I need to feel process. I'm just a girl. I'm just a human. I'm just a daughter, and so I just want to thank you guys for giving me the space to be. And honestly, such a blessing. Like even during the holidays and Christmas break, we hit 1,000 followers on Instagram. Woo! You guys are the best. And welcome to all the new faces. Can't wait to have you here, which was so cool. And so I think it's such a testament as, when I'm thinking I'm inadequate, when I'm thinking, man, I'm not doing enough to get enough followers and stuff. It just was amazing to see God bless even when I was just being still. Also, if you're my neighbor, I'm so sorry. I'm recording right now at literally 10:45 p.m. because I had to get it done. You know what I'm saying? I had to get it done. So I'm not going to be crazy loud, but also, vibes. Anyways, today's podcast is titled Murdering Lies and Labels. Slay. It's actually a very serious topic, and we're going to get into that as well. But of course, before we do, we have a lot to catch up on. So first and foremost, went home for Christmas. It was amazing. There's some stuff I can't talk about on the podcast. If you know, you know. I always have the craziest airport travels, and I don't know. I had that. I can't really talk about it, but slay. Anyways, my sister and I went to the Packer game, and I made like a goofy little sign for Zane Anderson. I said something like, all I want for Christmas is Zane Anderson. Really clever, really creative. He didn't see it. They didn't put it on the Jumbotron. When I talked to him, he didn't see it. That's fine. But what's funniest to me was we went there, which is so fun. Like, I love Green Bay. I love the Packers. I love going to Lambeau. I love it. I love it. But it was so funny because everyone's like, oh my gosh, you brought a sign. You brought a poster. Like, what does it say? And nobody knew who Zane Anderson was. And I'm like, what do you guys mean? Like, Zane Anderson, you know? Vibes. And then he ended up getting an interception that night. I don't even remember who played, the Saints. Yeah, the Saints. And then I knew who the heck Zane Anderson was. But it was so fun. The crowd around me was all like, yo, like blah blah. And it was a good time. Me and my sister went. And it was a great time. Time with family was so good. Getting to kind of spend time with like old friends, old new friends, that kind of vibe. Just getting coffee dates and chatting. I had a really hard time leaving home. I don't know if it's because I was kind of emotional. Also, just I have a really hard time leaving my parents as I get older and being far away. It's very hard for me. And so I was like very emotional on the airplane. I miss my dog, and I just wish I could go home more often, I guess. I don't know. But we went straight from Green Bay to Dallas for Upperroom end of year, which was so exciting. It was the first time for me that I wasn't in some kind of party environment for the new year. So this is like 2024 was a lot of changes, and I knew 2025 was going to be like this clean slate. Like, we are going to try a lot of new things we've never done, and I'm here for it. And so shout out Vika, shout out Marina, Emily Moyne, shout out Ellie, shout out Sarah Price, shout out all the girly swirlies that were at Upperroom. And so flew into Dallas. Vika picked me up, and we got dinner, and we had a great time. I've never been like a big fan of Dallas, but Vika showed me like a lot of different spots. And so I actually have a new appreciation for Dallas. I do think it's a pretty fun city. I don't know if it's a place I would ever want to live, but definitely would visit again. And so we had a really good time at Upperroom. I had never been to anything Upperroom. I just listened to the worship, and it was cool. I'm trying to even just remember the first couple of days, but we essentially got there and we spent time in the prayer room, which was amazing. I mean, basically, I'll just tell you a few things about Upperroom. So Upperroom is a church in Dallas, and it started kind of as a prayer house, in this neighborhood. And young adults would just go there and really like worship and pray. And then it exploded into this church. And going there, they had this prayer room, and it's cool because like the name of their church, the marketing, everything, like nothing was crazy. Like nothing was in your face. It was just very focused on God. And so going into this prayer room, all the worship like faces each other. There's carpets, rugs, it's dark, there's some lights, people are waving flags, and you just spend time with God. And I just feel so immersed in all the presence. And I've been at church camps my whole life. I've gone to church, different things, and I've never seen so many just people like hungry for God, like so excited for God, for service, not wanting to leave, for worship. Sometimes I feel like you have people in the group that are like, oh, I just want to go eat, and like, who's that cute guy, and like blah. I feel the same way too, but it was just like a lock-in moment of like, no, I just want more of the presence. Like I just want more of God. And that was such especially men, like I feel like, I will say, I think I have been in environments like church camp and church. There are a lot of men worshiping God, but I've never been in an environment where there's so many young adult men on fire for God. And just seeing that leadership quality, like seeing that boldness, seeing a male like not be afraid to raise his hands or pray for his friend or do whatever. Like it is so attractive. It is so awesome to see that. And I just didn't want to leave. Like it was just such a beautiful, beautiful environment. And God was just doing so many things in me. I was expectant. I told Vika, I was like, as I'm going into Upperroom, I want healing from this thing with God. Like, that is what I want. I'm not going in there looking for guys. I'm not going in there maybe looking for new friends. I'd love to make new friends, but I'm going in there expectant. Like, this is between you and me, God. Like, it's on site. Like, I want this healing, right? Oh, also sidebar. This is so bad. I also, like, low-key have been wanting a new tattoo. I'm so bad. Like, I always want to get a new tattoo in January. I don't know what it is. And so I had a couple ideas in my head. But once you have kind of a lot of tattoos, like, I have a lot of little tiny ones. They all have meaning. They all were part of my life and journey. But I think I have like 5 little tiny ones, and I'm not really rocking with any of the tattoo artists in Missouri anymore, just personal reasons, and like just not my tattoo journey anymore. I want to try something new. And so it was like the day of the conference, and I told the girlies, like, hey, I low-key kind of want to get a tattoo. I started looking up these like Christian tattoo artists in Dallas, and I knew I wanted a Christian to do it. And I found this girl, shout out Kiana, tattoo queen. And so I texted her, I was like, hey girl, we're in town for Upperroom. Like, these are the 2 different tattoo ideas I want. Like, what would this look like for cost? And we got like an automated text back being like, oh, it could be blah, 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 like this many days. So she texted me back. She's like, hey girl, I don't usually do this, but I'm gonna get you in. Like, we're gonna get you tatted. Can you meet like in 2 hours? I'm like, bet. So this is literally like 2 hours before the conference. And I go in there and I ended up getting Yeshua, which means to deliver in Hebrew, to set free. And I just love that for my life. I don't think it really matters where you are in your journey. You could be someone that never lived for God, and then you find God when you're 80 years old. You can be someone that partially was lukewarm your whole life, and then you fully sell out for God when you're 27. Like, it doesn't, whatever your journey is, I love that. You know, like, I am set free. I am delivered. And then I also got a finger tattoo that is a cross. It's very bold, but that's my personality. I think I'm just a chick that likes tattoos. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just me. But I like it because someday when I get engaged, you're going to see the ring, but you're also going to see the cross right there. And that is just so God. That is so him. And I just absolutely love that. Kiana was amazing. I will literally get all my tattoos from her now. So I will travel near and far, no matter where I am, to get tatted by her. So this is her Instagram page, Slay Queen. So it was amazing. But yeah, just the Upperroom presence. Towards the end of the conference, when we had the New Year celebration, we all worshiped till like 1 a.m. or something. Basically, there was 12,000 people from all over the world. Argentina, Italy, the UK, Mexico, like all over. And all the messages were so good. Everything was so good. And I can't remember if it was like day 2 or day 3, but we basically were going to these breakout sessions. I wanted to go see the Handlebar podcast, podcast. And I'm in line, and I get this call from my brother, which is crazy because if you know my brother, he don't be calling me for leisure, like to chat most times. So I answer, and he tells me that my grandma had fallen and some other details, and that basically they think that she had passed away and gone to be with the Lord. So I'm like in pure shock, and I just I'm so busy with this conference right now. I don't even know how to feel or what to feel or how to feel it. And so I ended up trying to go to these breakout sessions and just like think about this later. And like my sister's calling me and we chat for a second. My mom, I just like don't even want to talk to her because I just want to give her space. And I ended up like trying to go to the other breakout sessions and everything's full. So I went to the prayer room and I just got on my knees and I just bawled my eyes out and just talked to God for like a long time. And my grandma was a believer and I know she's in heaven, and I just kept talking to God and being like, can I talk to her? Like, can she say something to me? Whatever. And it wasn't until later, like, I think it was later in one of the worship sessions where maybe it was during the Spanish worship where I literally had a vision of my grandma on her wedding day, like when she looked very youthful, and she's in heaven and she's saying to me like, mija, like, don't worry, mija, like, I'm home, mija. And and like laughing. My grandma always had this, like, she's like, ha 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 ha. She's always like laughing, like, hee 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 hee, oh, mija, like, you're so funny, mija, yeah, so crazy. And so I just like had this vision of her saying that to me in heaven. And when I feel like I saw that, I just knew, I'm like, why am I tripping? Like, she's home with my father. Like, she's home in heaven. She's out of pain. You know, it's okay. Like, it's going to be okay. I just felt so hard for my mom, because I know she's in a very hard position. Like, I can't even imagine how she must be feeling. And so it was hard because I'm obviously like feeling these emotions, but I'm also at this conference. And then it's like, when you think about what's the best place to be when you're sick is like the hospital, right? Like, what's the best place for me to dump my feelings of pain? Probably to God at church, bro. You know what I'm saying? And so spent a lot of time with him and just talking and praying. And there was just so many cool creatives there. I even got to meet Gavin Casalengo from Summer I Turned Pretty. Such a nice guy, him and his wife, so stand up. Just so cool the way that they respected their time with God at the conference. They really weren't trying to take pictures or really whatever, but just super nice and complimented my Love Brand jacket. Just awesome people. It was so cool to see people use their platforms for God. So the conference was amazing, and some stuff that's going to be pretty deep I am saving for the podcast party. So I really hope that you guys can all come. But God freed me, man. I mean, there's a lot that God did, and I am going to talk about a lot of that later, but there's two specific things I really want to talk about. And, the first one basically is what I was expecting from God when I got to Upperroom. And a couple of weeks before, Vika and I were cooking in the hot tub. I always say that because we literally go to my gym hot tub to cook, but then like spiritually and physically, which okay, it's like, we did get a noise complaint the other day in the hot tub by some queens. I'm friends with like all the queens at the gym, but this queen I didn't really know, and I get it. We're both loud, our synergy. But I'm like, God, please give me patience. Please give me kindness. Like, what? I'm retired from being petty. I'm like, oh, take it out of me, Lord. Take it out of me. So anyways, Vika and I were in the hot tub, and we were just talking. And I mentioned it, I think, before on the podcast about like wounds of abandonment. And basically what I mean by that is there's so many situations with guys, or like dates, talking stages, situationships, whatever it is, whether I ended it on my part or he ended on his part, or it was messy or it wasn't, that it just feels like things have just like not worked out. And a lot of times when some of these guys have left, it's been very like abrupt, and it like we didn't remain friends. And I felt abandoned a lot. Like, even with maybe a few of these guys, like I chatted to for a long time, or we were in a situationship or something like that. And then I always just like, anyone, they like drop me and then pick me back up, and then drop me and then pick me back up. And I always felt like this like abandonment. And I remember when I was at Upperroom and at the conference, I was praying, So feeling that abandonment, and Vika and I had this chat, and I was like, you know, I wonder if part of me feels like I have this issue of closeness with people. Like, I can be close, but I have this guarded wall. Is that because of the intimacy, or scared of being abandoned by men? Like, does that reflect into my relationship with God, where I'm scared he's going to abandon me, so I'm not as like intimate or close to him as possible, you know? Because a lot of times when people have, you know, pains with their father, they have that with their heavenly father. I don't have that in my family, but what I do feel like is I have that in my relationships with previous like romantic stuff with men. And so I'm at Upperroom, I'm praying to God for healing. It's like the end of year. I don't even remember if it was like it just turned midnight or it was before that, and we're worshiping, and I'm like, God, like, clean me out. And there was a certain situation in my life that, you know, I think I was just praying, and I felt like God was like, just be honest. And I literally was praying and was just like, where were you? Like, where were you? And then I just felt like this highlight reel of my life was playing like a movie role, and it was all just like the worst moments of my life. Kind of back when Snapchat used to be like, remember this day? And it's like the 5 times you were ghosted in a year, you know? And But it was like abandoned in the car. I'm sitting and crying in a ditch. I'm this and this and this and this and this. And it was like all these moments. And I'm crying out to God and I'm being like, where were you? Where were you? And I felt like I heard the Lord say, like, I was there. You never looked, acknowledged, or listened to me. And so then my mind goes back to all these moments and I'm visualizing Jesus sitting next to me when I'm walking home from my car 20 minutes away, like crying when I'm doing this, when I'm doing this. I'm like, you were with me this whole time? He's like, yes, I was with you this whole time. Like, you were never alone. And that's in that moment, I was literally just like overcome with the Holy Spirit. I just felt like healed. Like I felt in my body, like in my soul. I wish I could like try to find a picture. But I felt like my stomach, like my soul, I felt like there was like these jail cells and all these like lies, like words that men have called me that like, oh, I forgive this guy. Like, I'm over this. I forgive him. True. But somehow like the word he called me or like things he said to me, somehow that still was like an ugly label that I believed in. Like when I'm having a bad day and I'm thinking I'm not good enough, the enemy's like, oh, remember when he called you this? Like, you're still that, even though this person has nothing to do with me or my life, you know? And I felt like this, my stomach, my soul, this jail cell was like holding all of this like abandonment trauma, holding all of these labels, holding all these words. And I just felt like I just saw like Jesus like just sawing all of this off, and it was all gone and it was all out and it was all gutted and it was all free and it was all clean. And I'm like, I'm free. I'm free from these lies. I'm free. I'm free. Like, I'm free. I'm free. And I'm free. And basically, I mean, to keep it a buck with you, my whole life, people have told me like, oh, you're intimidating. You're going to need to date a really confident guy. Your personality is a lot. You know, you're this, like, oh, you're the girl they date before they find the one. Like, you're this, you're not good enough. You're not good enough interviewer. You're not good enough at your job. You're too much for boys, like this and this and this. And it just... And why? Like, you know, it takes so much effort and time to believe in these lies when we have the choice to just not, you know? And I mean, there are things like, we live in a fallen world, and I've been in positions where it's hard, where it feels like the woman has to fight so much harder to get something that like a man just gets. But also there's so many blessings in being a woman. And you know what? Like, hearing all these things, making it seem like it's going to be impossible for me to find a guy, or like making it seem like I'm doing too much, when I'm like, this is how God created me. Like, God created me as a person who is confident and extroverted and able to have the space and the opportunity to have a platform to speak life and truth and whatever he has on my heart, you know? God gave me the ability for public speaking. He gave me the ability to connect with people in a very quick way. And you know what? For me to believe these labels and lies would be for me to directly like diss on who God made me to be and the qualities he gave me. So you know what? Because you call me these lies or whatever the enemy is trying to say to me, I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. I don't need that in my life. You know, does God call me intimidating? Does God call me too much? Does God call me this? Does God call me that? No? Then I'm good. And so I'm really now like mindful and like breaking all these things off of me. I don't need to believe these lies. And it's amazing. I mean, going into the TOC too, like, we'll talk about that as well. So thankful for the whole team. Literally love everybody. Like, everyone is on the grind. It's so cool seeing so many of these athletes love God, talk about God, have God tattoos. I mean, seriously, there's a revival in this generation, and it is beautiful. People be hating on Gen Z, but I'm like, a lot of us are the hardest workers ever. I mean, seriously, it takes so much hard work to lock in at your day job and then come to this TOC event and just work, turn things over fast, make connections, make content, turn it over, edit quick. Like, it's a lot, but it's so fun to be a part of. And I'm really thankful for all the Joshes, all the community, CJ, J Bands, everybody, Morgan. It was really, really good. But the enemy was definitely trying to attack me when I was there. Definitely trying to tell me that I wasn't a good enough interviewer. I wasn't a technical enough interviewer. And I'm trying to it's hard for me because when I'm there, I got to make all kinds of content, right? And so I can't just sit and watch all the basketball games and then go in the media room and ask all the boys the questions I want to ask. I have to work. And so during the third and fourth quarter, I get to kind of watch the game a little bit and start forming questions in my mind. Shout out ChatGPT for being lit. But there was a situation where I'm not even reading into this or giving this real estate at all, but there was somebody that wasn't really rocking with me. They weren't really a fan of me, and that's fine. And it was tough though, because this person kept saying comments to me that were literally the insecurities in my head, right? The devil's not crafty, right? He's going to use anything or anybody to steal, kill, and destroy. And so this person kept trying to tear me down, literally in public. And so, which I have no beef, all love. But for me, I was like, God, how do I respond? What would Jesus do? And my Latina mother, okay? I'm like, how do I love this person, but also stick up for myself in a way that I don't want to hurt this person. I don't want to humiliate this person, but I am not going to just sit and not speak truth. And so I was like, God, please just flow in me, show me what to say. And so, which is also interesting too as well, because there's blessings in disguise. This person was making these nasty comments to me, and because of that, I stepped out of my comfort zone and I rose above, and I was able to perform and ask questions in that media room, in a room full of all men that are very talented at sports, and was able to ask questions at the same caliber as them, Granted, I'd only asked a couple, and they really killed it. But imagine me next year, imagine me next year. And I told this person, I went up to them, and I told them, I was like, look, I know I run the TikTok here, but I know how to ask deep questions. And it's not I'm not looking for this person's validation, because I'm never going to get it. I'm only going to get God's. And still, this person just kept making comments to me for the rest of the weekend. And honestly, I'm just praying for this person, because in my mindset, I'm like, you need Jesus. I don't know what you're going through, but you need Jesus, right? And even my mentor had kind of mentioned to me, we're gonna have persecution in life. That you're doing good at something when someone's gonna contest you, and someone's gonna come at you like that, And I'm just really blessed, because even though in that moment I was getting so fired up, and I'm like, no, I don't want to have I don't want to gossip about this. I don't want to have hate about this. God, just it's distracting me from my goal. That's what the enemy wants to do to you. He just wants to distract you and take your time away from the things that matter, And because of that situation and trusting God, it actually pushed me to ask questions when I probably wouldn't have done that in the media room, and ask better questions and prepare ahead of time. So honestly, I'm grateful for that person who was kind of being a little wild to me, because you made me better and stronger. So thank you. Thank you, friend. I appreciate it. But again, the TOC, incredible experience. This year, we lost TikTok in the middle of a championship game. We had a little bit of audio issue on one of the days. But the thing about when you're doing sports marketing is all you got to do is focus on solutions, right? You got to bounce back, because that's real life, man. That's things don't just stop and you just give up. You got to circle back. You got to bounce back. That is the marketing world. And so honestly, the teams this year were so cool. They were so into doing content with us. All the athletes were really awesome in the interviews. I really felt like we gained a lot of new friendships, and I'm really excited to just watch these guys continue on in college, and some of them to the NBA, and just some of them in other career fields as well. It's just really cool to see the hard work and dedication that these young guys have. And so just honestly a great experience. I feel like I've matured so much in the past year, and I've gotten better at the craft, and I just can't wait to see what next year's TOC looks like, and also what other sport opportunities come along the way. I'm very open to that, and I'm very excited for that. So again, amazing year, amazing experience. God is so good. And, we got TikTok back and CapCut. Don't know how long it's going to last, but it just goes to show, don't put your faith and hope and trust in things that are temporary like that, you will be okay even if they're gone and that kind of thing. So, what are some of my New Year's resolutions? Great question. I'm trying to learn Spanish. That is one thing. Oh, okay, now I remember. Sorry. So I kind of jumped ahead. Before the TOC, after I got back from Upperroom, I was literally home for 2 days. Like I came home, was home for 2 days, went to the gym. God is so good too, because I was in the car with Vika on the way home from Upperroom, and she had told me something. Like, it was so goofy. I think she had like worship on and I was falling asleep, and I wanted her to play like rap or something. And she's like, girl, you don't receive if you don't ask. And that stuck with me, right? So then I go to I would go to the gym the next day, and I forgot my like leggings, and I was like, dang it, I have not worked out in a minute. I really want to work out. I really need to work out, like mentally. And I'm sitting in the hot tub, and all the like aerobic water girls come in, and they're awesome. I love their class. And I'm just like sitting in this hot tub, and I have Vika's voice in my head being like, if you don't receive, you don't ask. So I'm in the hot tub with like all these beautiful, like different, like these like ladies, and they're so cutesy. And I was like, yo, anybody in here got any shorts I can borrow? I can like Venmo you $5 to rent it. And one lady's like, I do. And so she lent me her shorts, and it was awesome. I'm so goofy, but I was like, I'm here for 2 days. If I don't work out, it's going down. And then I flew to McAllen, Texas, which is where my mom's side of the family is. And it was, as much as like we were all coming together for my grandma's funeral, it was such a beautiful time, because I have really not seen that side of my family in so long. Like the cousins that I'm close to, I haven't seen in 4 years. Haven't seen my grandparents in 4 years. And the cousins that I haven't seen, maybe like not as close to, like I hadn't seen them since I was 8 years old. I'm 25. So it was truly a reunion that was so beautiful. And my mom and I were talking just some things about my grandma, and whatever her health issues were or her condition. Like, we don't really know the timeline. Only she knows. Only she and God knows. But I really felt in our spirit that she was really trying to reunite this family before her time was up. Like, just the way like her and my grandpa would like seek out some of my cousins and like find them and make sure they were in communication. Like, it was very, very important for them to make sure that we were all connected. And now just getting to celebrate her and like see a lot of her accomplishments. Like, my grandma was a very big entrepreneur who sold interior design. She was invited to the Emmys one year. Like, I had no idea how much of this entrepreneurship probably came from her. And, being able to work hard and have a family and have lots of kids and help provide and be a fashion queen, and in every single one of her little day planners, which I'll talk about this later, she wrote, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I've kind of taken that with me as well, because, being at that TOC, like for me, I want to be able to ask really great questions. I want an athlete to be able to talk to me and feel like, wow, this chick really understood the game. She really understood how to ask questions that were real about me, and also how to have fun, like, and keep it real, because I'm a human. Like, that's my goal, is I want to be able to have that whole great experience just from a few questions, and on the podcast, obviously. But though it was hard for me. Like, it was hard for me to try to like squash the lies from my mind and the enemy. And so now I really just start quoting those things over and over when I'm feeling that, or just before I'm doing anything, like before I do this podcast, like before I do some client work or whatever, I'm like writing this down or like praying it over me. And I'm like, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that's another part of like this murdering lies and labels, is there were a lot of labels I used to put on myself. Like, if I don't do this in 6 months, I got to go find it. If I don't talk to a guy for this, I'm going to go blah, blah. If I don't go on a trip, if I don't do this, my type is this. Like, I am putting all of these labels and restrictions on myself that I don't have the right to. Like, God is the one who defines. He defines what healthy is. He defines what love is. He defines what relationships are. He defines boundaries. He defines all those things. Like, we do not get to a la carte, well, because I've done this sin for so long, it's kind of not that bad, so I'm going to be a Christian in every area except for this. And I'm like, that's not what God or the Bible says. And I'm saying that to myself. Like, I'm saying that I believed that in my life. and lived that out in the past. Because I was like, you know what? This is okay because no guy's going to do that. And I'm like, Morgan, who's telling you this? Like, the enemy is feeding you these lies because you don't have faith in what the Bible or God says about your life or plan. Like, just because we can't see something right in front of us, we don't believe it's true. I can't see Mount Everest. I've never seen it in person, but I know it's real, man. Like, so I don't feel like I've really ever hit that button before. So it's like, but I think a lot of us put these labels on ourselves that, like I just said, a lot of us put labels on ourselves where God's the one that defines. So in 2025, I want to ask you, what are the labels that you're putting on yourself that is not defined by God? So maybe you feel like you're too crazy or you're too toxic or you're too whatever. And God says, no, you're my daughter who I'm called to be healthy and to love others and to love your enemies and to live differently. Can you do that for me? Can you do that for me? You know? And there's been a lot of things where I am like, I got to be different. I hear all these testimonies that about like craziness stuff, like especially my home church. They've been having like the wildest testimonies, but crazy stuff about people that have like enemies or whatever it is, and they become great friends, and there's so much forgiveness there. And I'm like, how do you have the faith to do that? You know, like how do you have that kind of bold faith? But the cool thing about bold faith is it doesn't happen overnight, right? Like you go through the trials and tribulations so that you get to be in a position like where your faith is so strong, right? I've gone through a lot of hard job stuff and corporate stuff where there was a point in my life where I literally had no money, like none. And God provided me like a financial miracle that truly did not make sense. And I'm never going to trip about finances because I'm like, bro, God will always provide. He was always going to provide. And, yeah, and I think like my mind is such a liar. I'm talking to my overthinkers for a second too, because we overthink everything. And praise God, I've been freed from a lot of that. Like when I was in high school, you don't even know. I mean, I'd have a conversation with someone and I'd be like, yeah, that's cool. You know, oh, what time is this at? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I don't know, 5 or 5:30. I would go home and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, should I go at 5? Should I go at 5:30? Like, what's cool? Or like, will I be lame if I go at 5:30? Should I go at 5:15? Like, I would stew on this stupid crap for so long, and it would just rule my life. Like, it ruled my life, and I don't want that. I mean, I don't want that. You know, like, you have to be able to truly separate those things and allow God to have peace in your mind and peace in your heart and rule those things. Otherwise, they will rule you. So I think people struggle with like, okay, I struggle with overthinking my mind, you know, or having these labels, these lies about myself. I believe them for so long. I don't even know what the truth looks like. I don't even know how to find the truth. Okay. Insert Bible time, which actually, fun fact, this is my Bible. It's an Evangel Football Bible. I don't even remember how, like, I think one of my friends gave it to me or something. I'm actually going to get it, like, custom on the outside changed because I want this to just look more feminine on the outside for me. But today we're going to be reading John. We're going to read John 14, some of this stuff. You know, this is where Jesus is spending a lot of time with his disciples. And I love, this is the NLT version. I like how they just be bolding and having headlines, quick water break. Because, you know, the minute I get back to Missouri, it's like the city's trying to make me sick. Not around here, partner. So John 14, Jesus comforts his disciples. Do not let your hearts be troubled. I love that because my heart has always been troubled. I feel like my heart's always troubling. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God. Believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I'm going there to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you will also be where I am. You know the way to the place where I am going. Jesus, the way to the Father. Thomas said to him, Lord, we don't know where you are going, so how can we know the way? Jesus answered, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you really know me, you will know my Father as well. From now on, you do know him and have seen him. Philip said, Lord, show us the Father, and that will be enough for us. Jesus answered, don't you know me, Philip? Even after I have been among you such a long time, anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. How can you say, show us the Father? Don't you believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me? The words I say to you, I do not speak on my own authority. Rather, it is the Father living in me who is doing the work. Rather, it is the Father living in me who's doing the work. That is a bar. Believe me when I say that I am in the Father and the Father is in me, or at least believe on the evidence of the works themselves. Very truly, I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these, because I am going to the Father, and I will do whatever you ask in my name, so the Father may be glorified in the Son. You may ask me for anything in my name, and I will do it. So the Bible, the word is truth. Okay? The word will set you free. The word set me free from my shackles, bro, from the lies that stayed in me. I was so distracted with my life and everything. I was like, I will get to that later. And then I never got to it. And then it was like every time I was having that hard time, that bad day, they were speaking over me. So I want to encourage you that you do not have to live the rest of your life believing the things that people have told you. Maybe there's similar to that situation with me at the TOC. Maybe there's someone that is a stranger that has came at you, and you are letting that person have real estate or authority of your mind. And it's like, why? They don't know you like God knows you. They don't define you like he defines you. So stop giving that person so much authority in your life. A lot of times the enemy is just trying to use these people as vessels to get to you. And that was one thing that I really felt like the Lord spoke to me at the conference, was I was like, but God, this person hurt me. And God's like, you think that person has the power to be that great to hurt you? Like, they don't. Like, the enemy knows you too, and he knows what's going to hurt you. Like, he's what's crafty. This person's not crafty enough to know what to do. Like, the enemy's using him or her or whatever. And I'm not saying people don't take accountability, because I mean, that's what I'm saying. But like, when we look at the root of the issue, like the big picture, that's what's happening. That's why this person I don't even know knew exactly what to say to hurt me the way that, you know, like the enemy was trying to do that, because I was already having those insecure thoughts. And that's when I was like, God, I can do all things through you. You do what you got to do. I'm just going to be obedient. I'm not going to let this opportunity go to waste, because I feel like that's what the enemy wants to do, is make you feel unqualified when you are, I mean, we're not qualified. That's why we need God. That's why we need God. And I always try to tell people, like, imagine what the worst thing can happen, right? Like, everyone knows my dream to travel, maybe get married someday in Greece, like own a boat. Those are pretty much it. Like, have a family, do some ministry stuff. I don't know, like, just live, laugh, love. Like, and what if I didn't get any of that, right? Like, what if something happened to me soon and that was the end of my life? Like, you know, that's something where it's okay. Like, if I was living for God and my life gets cut short and I'm eternity in heaven, that's fine. Because if that's a glimpse of what it was like at Upperroom, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. We are on earth for a season. And I think we get so caught up on the earth stuff of being like, well, am I going to have my relationship or this and this and this and this and this? And I'm like, well, I hope so too. Like, I want that as well. But do you want that more than you want God, more than you want eternity with him? And that's where we have to really dive in and be like, what is most important to us? And we're all human. Like, I think we all struggle with wanting things before God. And that's where we have to really, just like the same thing with the gym. You know, I don't feel like anyone who's never worked out goes to the gym January 1st and is like, man, this is the best place ever. I love it. Like, you have to grow to love it the more time you spend there. I mean, the first time I was going to the gym, like a couple of years ago, it was like just going to the hot tub. And now I'll be working out for like 2 hours, like 1 hour working out, like 1 playing basketball or whatever, like hanging out, maybe hot tubbing. Like I'd be at the gym for days. And so, but it wasn't like that. But that's because I put in time, dedication, and effort, and I grew my relationship with the gym. And that's how I'm doing that in my faith as well. And that's what you can have too. So I just want to encourage you on that. Just want to encourage you guys that a lot of this just looks like spending time with God in your word and spending that time, that quiet time with him. I mean, it's pretty simple, honestly. And like, if I was to diagnose an issue, I'd be like, well, what does your alone time with God look like? Do you talk to him? Like, do you carve that time out and ask him, how is your day? Like, how is my life? Like, what is our relationship like? How do I love you more? I just want to worship and praise you for dying on the cross for my sins. Am I looking like you enough? Am I being the light enough? Am I being obedient to you? We had this crazy situation happen the other day. We just got off the TOC and I was on my way to church, but I woke up and I kind of slept in. And so usually I serve at my church and I have a best time ever and I get up kind of early. And this Sunday I was like, you know what? I'm not on the schedule. I'm just going to kind of sleep in a little bit and just like go to church at the regular time. So I get in my parking garage and I hear this wail. Like there's a man back there. Sometimes there's like just guys smoking, whatever. And I hear this wail and I think this man is, I don't know, maybe he's having like a drug trip or something. And next thing I know, he's seizing and I'm scared he's having a stroke. So I run over there and he basically like falls off this chair and starts seizing and like foaming at the mouth. And so I call 911 immediately. It's freezing cold outside. They were able to like shout out to the cops. I mean, and the firefighters, they were able to get there really fast. It's a kind of a complicated like environment. And I ended up talking to the cops afterward and like asking him what he thought it was. And he's like, oh, I think this guy just has a lot of medical issues. And so I was praying over this man, like from my distance, just like praying over him. And then I had later on kind of chatted to one of the employees and I was nervous because I didn't know, like it could have been a drug situation. And now I just put this like target on my back and I was like, hey, how is he doing? And they're like, oh, he's doing good. Like he's in the hospital. We're going to go see him. They're like, thank God you were there though, because we wouldn't have been there for another hour. And I'm like, well, that's just craziness because I never come at this time. It's only because I was late to church today. And I told him, I was like, I'd like to come back and pray for him. And so this podcast will already be dropped, but I'm planning on going tomorrow to pray for him because I want this man to have healing for his medical issues, whatever it is. I'm praying like, God, like, please flow through me and heal this man, whether it's the next day or on your timeline, like whatever it looks like. But I don't want this man to suffer these seizures anymore. I want healing for his life, and I'm going to believe that. And so it's just very interesting and cool to see how God works. And life is all about perspective. Like whatever season you're in, you may feel like, man, I wish I was at a beach. I wish I got to travel more. I wish I was richer living in a loft. I wish the grass is always greener. I'm living in a world of things that I prayed for. And yet somehow the enemy wants to make me feel like I'm not content because maybe I'm not in a relationship or surfing on a beach. But it's like I'm living in an amazing loft that I prayed for. I have an amazing part-time job in my own business and podcast that I prayed for. Like, we have merch that I prayed for. We have small group that I prayed for. We have friends that I prayed for. We have a church that I prayed for. Like, I'm living in answered prayer. So we need to think about life with a flip perspective of gratitude and being like, what did God save you from this year? What did he protect you from? What did he heal you from? What are you thankful for? What are the blessings? What are the hard situations that you learned? Because there's so many blessings. Like even those rough career jobs I had, or, situations that were very hard for me. And I was so heartbroken and like crying out to God in those moments. Wow. Do I use all of that knowledge that I learned today? Do I use all that information and those hard times to be wiser today? Like everything is a lesson and a blessing. That was so cringy. Everything is a lesson and a blessing. And you have to be able to have that perspective to find the joy that we are seeking from the Lord, because when we realize that just being here is a gift, everything else is a blessing on top of that. So, wow, you guys, you got your devotional chapel credit for sure. For sure. And I mean, honestly, God's changed so much in me as well. I even feel like from a romantic perspective that I put myself in a box of, maybe just like don't get me wrong. I definitely have high standards. That's not changing, but I'm definitely like more open. And I think I'm just excited for whatever God has for me. And honestly, like for me, the Lord told me at Upperroom, like, Morgan, just do nothing. Like, don't do anything, because I'm always doing the most and like trying to fabricate my life and what I think is the best and like being crazy. And God's like, just chill. And honestly, that's what I'm doing. So man, I'm not saying y'all have to chill. Y'all gotta, put in that effort and that time and that grind. I'm chilling. So feel free to, I don't know, but I'm not doing anything. So. But honestly, though, I feel like the Lord has also like changed things. I don't know. He's just like, I feel like he's like changed my type, not changed it, but like opened things up. And I don't know. I'm just, like I said, I'm just chilling, like, just out here. But yeah, honestly, coming to a close here on the pod, a couple of things. I'm just, the podcast party specifically, I had this whole thing planned. Like, I was going to have it to be like a Christian SNL night. I was trying to get like a kind of a pretty big artist that's in the Christian space. And we're going to do all these like interactive games, like all these fun things. And it just felt like a lot of work. And I just know it was like thing after thing after thing. And I was at Upperroom and I'm like, God, honestly, I don't even know what to think about the podcast party. Like, I'm stressed. I'm so behind. I have like nothing planned. And like, I wanted to have a musical guest with the live show. And I'm like, I don't even know. And I just felt like God was like, this night's about me. This night is not about you, Morgan, which we're going to get all into that at the live show. So I'd love for you to come so you can hear the deepness of this story. But I'm like, okay, let's make it about you. And so in my prayer journal, I mean, I literally have just notes mapped out of what God specifically told me to do for this podcast, like an outline. I mean, when we ask the Lord, he will tell us. I mean, just a lot here, even down to the merch, like the new merch that I was already planning, scrapped it. God was like, I got other merch plans for you. Wrote down the mission statement, the areas I need to pray, things I need to reach out to. I don't even know. Just like a lot of stuff here. And since then, I've actually been able to connect with some people at my gym. And we now have like an amazing like worship group coming that God just provided. I didn't have anybody. I was like, God, you want this? You provide it. Mm-hmm. And things are starting to really come together. And I just have a lot more peace because it's not about me. When it's not about me, I don't have to like freak out and worry. Like, it's going to be about God. It's going to be about reaching people, like shattering the trauma, healing, prayer. Like, it's going to be an amazing night. And that's why it's like, I'd love for you to come. I don't, wherever you're at, wherever surrounding city, we don't know what the future holds. And then that's why it's like, I would love for you to be here. I don't know what we have next year going on. But this night is going to be so special. And I really just want to invite you into it. I also really want to give a couple shout outs to the Riff, the whole Classics crew, everybody. So amazing, so supportive. The new cover photo was shot at Bud's Auto Tire Shop. Literally the coolest crew ever. You guys have to go check them out. And the fur jacket was from McDaniel's Furs, the best. So be sure to go visit them, you guys. Try on some fur jackets and everything. We are here coming to a close now, but I just want to say I'm so thankful for you guys. Thank you for allowing God to move in my life and see that and encourage that and support that. Thank you for allowing me to change, and being kind in that. And thank you for just honestly listening to the podcast. I mean, 3 years is crazy, but what's nuts is that I don't even really recognize myself. But the version 3 years ago, I definitely don't recognize myself at all. 2 years ago, maybe a year ago, sure. But I don't know. I just think growth is beautiful and we don't know God's plan. And it's just really exciting to just kind of be a part of the journey. And when you have that perspective of my life isn't my own, like it's yours, I don't know. I'm just so much happier. Like all that stress and pain and worry honestly goes away. You just have peace knowing who's writing your story and it's in his hands, and you got to focus on what's in front of you. So I love you guys so much. We end the pod the same way. Favorite song, favorite quote at the moment, and legacy. Favorite song right now is honestly anything by Caleb Gordon. I don't even know what album it is. It's like the orangish yellowish one, but has a song called Seek You, and I really like it. He has a line there too. I probably don't even, Morgan, you never prep for this. Now is I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that's because, not just because everyone chooses that, but because my grandma put that in every single calendar book. And she wrote it on every single thing that she was about to work her butt on, things that she wrote it as an affirmation of what she was about to do. And so I love that because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, right? Like I'm affirming that in my day for tomorrow, and for eternity. So, and then legacy, I feel like God's been speaking a lot in my heart about being a light to this world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. And that's what I want to be. I want to be able to be in a situation where, like that craziness of that man in my parking garage, whatever it is, I want to be able to have everyone around me in that situation be like, wow, that girl is a light and she loves Jesus. Whatever it is, I want to be a light in the darkness. So that's my goal. And it's a work in progress because we're all human and we're all work in progresses, but that's what it is. So I love you guys so much. I hope you can attend the podcast party. I just want to, again, thank you guys so much for everything. I'm really, really blessed. So blessed. I mean, I was literally telling, I don't remember who it was, but I was like, tell me why I lost 2 people in my life this year. I mean, obviously they're in heaven. I lost them to earth and got hacked and then got unhacked. Snap. We almost lost TikTok. I'm like, tell me why this was like such a roller coaster of a year, but it was still one of my favorite years ever, And I think that's what's like so beautiful is you're going to have trials and tribulations, but joy comes in the morning. And that's what I feel like 2024 was. So I'm really excited about 2025. Hopefully I get to learn how to sew. I'm learning Spanish. I want to go on a trip. I mean, I don't know. I'm really, really excited, but love you guys. Thanks so much for being amazing. Be kind to your neighbor. Do something fun. See you at the pod party. And remember to always keep on keeping up with cash. Okay, bye.
We want to say a big thank you to all of our guests on today's show.
Live, laugh, love you guys. Bye.